I'm at the right spot. It take blood, it take sweat. I won't stop. I'm on go. I'm gon' die for my.
Today, we're going inside the most expensive yachts on the planet. From Roman Abramovich's $1.5 billion floating bunker to Jeff Bezos' sailing eco-palace, which almost forced a historic bridge to be taken apart just so it could pass through. And in the finale, a project that completely breaks the logic of luxury. A giant yacht worth hundreds of millions dedicated to saving the ocean. Welcome to the channel for the richest. Eclipse, a floating fortress worth $1.5 billion. Let's start with the legend that basically launched the era of billion-dollar-plus yachts. Eclipse, Roman Abramovich's personal fortress. This is not just a yacht. It is the standard by which all others were later judged. Its length is about 533 feet, 9 decks. The construction cost was around $500 million, but with upgrades, modernization, security systems, and VIP-level custom requests, the total reportedly climbed to about $1.5 billion. At that point, this is no longer an oligarch's toy. It is a personal floating project on the scale of a small nation. A steel hull, an aluminum superstructure, a beam of more than 72 feet, a draft of nearly 20 feet, a 4-engine power plant, a speed of up to 25 knots, and a range of more than 6,900 miles. In simple terms, fuel up, and you can go from New York to London without stopping, taking with you a small world isolated from the rest of humanity. But the real magic begins inside. For guests, up to 36 people. For the crew, around 70. A separate giant owner's deck more than 164 feet long, with panoramic windows, armored partitions, and a bedroom where even the bed rotates so the view from the windows is always perfect. A 52-foot swimming pool that turns into a dance floor at the push of a button. That is already a signature level of luxury. Imagine this. During the day, you swim in a giant pool in the middle of the Mediterranean, and by evening, that same space becomes a hall where a DJ is playing, champagne is flowing, and beneath your feet is a perfectly lit deck that was water just moments ago. A spa complex, several saunas, a hammam, massage rooms, a gym, a children's room, a wine cellar, a movie theater, and a nightclub. All of this sounds like a list from a 5-star hotel, but here it is the private territory of one owner, and all of it is inside an armored capsule. Eclipse is also a floating bunker. A missile detection system, intrusion sensors, bullet-resistant glass, restricted zones, and the legendary feature, an anti-paparazzi system that uses special laser light to ruin shots on digital cameras, so no unexpected photo survives. Annual maintenance, according to various estimates, is around $50 million per year. That means even if someone gave you Eclipse for free, just keeping it alive would cost more than an ordinary person could earn in several lifetimes. And against the background of this billionaire fortress, there is another category of yachts, where the main thing is not protection, but scale. Where the space itself costs as much as a skyscraper. Dilbar, the most voluminous floating palace. If Eclipse is about security and status, then Dilbar is about one feeling. Can we make it even bigger? In terms of length, she is not the record holder, but in terms of volume, she is a true floating megacity. Her length is about 512 feet, but the key number here is different, almost 16,000 gross tons. No other private yacht in the world currently comes close to her in internal volume. Her beam is about 77 feet with 7 decks, a powerful steel foundation, and an aluminum superstructure. The propulsion system is diesel-electric. Powerful generators produce enough energy to power a small town. Cruising speed is around 22 knots, while everything on board is running. Dozens of systems: air conditioning, lighting, custom electronics, movies, music, the galley, industrial-level communications, and security. Inside, around 40,900 square feet of living space. There are about 24 guests, served by up to 96 crew members. This is no longer just a private yacht, but a 6-star mini hotel that always follows its owner. And of course, Dilbar's main obsession is the pool. The largest swimming pool ever installed on a private yacht, about 82 feet long with a water volume of around 6,360 cubic feet, or roughly 47,550 gallons. That is dozens and dozens of ordinary bathtubs poured into one transparent glass volume in the middle of the sea. If Eclipse turns its pool into a dance floor, Dilbar says, "Let's just make the pool so large that its size becomes news by itself." 2 helipads, an indoor pool, a spa area, a movie theater, elevators between decks, a huge garage for tenders and water toys, boats, jet skis, underwater toys, all of it hidden inside like in a private port. In essence, Dilbar is a floating marina for other boats. The construction cost is estimated at $600 to $800 million, and annual expenses are around $60 million. And with all of that, like many yachts of this level, Dilbar became a hostage of geopolitics. Seizures, sanctions, lawyers, courts. When the value of your yacht is comparable to a country's defense budget, you automatically play in a different league, where the news is no longer about the length of the pool, but about frozen assets. But there is a yacht that took a different path. It did not become the most voluminous or the most protected. It became the longest, and at the same time, faster than many military vessels. Azzam, the longest and fastest linear giant. Azzam is the answer to the question, can you build a yacht as long as a skyscraper is tall and still make it faster than patrol boats? Its length is about 592 feet. It is still the longest private yacht in the world. It was built in record time, in less than 3 years, which at this scale sounds like a challenge to the laws of physics and logistics. The propulsion system consists of 4 turbocharged engines with a combined output of around 147,000 horsepower, driving water jets that push the vessel to more than 30 knots. In other words, this floating street of steel and aluminum can outrun most military boats while remaining quiet, elegant, and extremely comfortable inside. Despite being 592 feet long, its draft is only about 14 feet. That means Azzam can enter bays and shallow waters that are off limits to other giants. Where others stop on the horizon, Azzam calmly moves closer to shore, as if it were an ordinary mid-size motor yacht. Inside, around 50 apartments and cabins, up to 36 guests, and about 80 crew members. Large open lounges, a huge main hall for receptions, and private zones for the owner and his family. The design is a separate story. The exterior by Nauta Yachts looks minimalistic and sleek, clean lines, an elongated hull, no loud shapes or unnecessary details. The interior by Christoph Leone is a variation on the classic 19th century imperial style, translated into the 21st century. Warm tones, expensive materials, plenty of light and space, without flashy gold on every corner. The project's estimated cost was around $500 to $600 million. Compared to other super yachts, Azzam almost looks reasonable, if that word can even be used for a vessel worth $500 million. Here, the money is not paid for gimmicks like anti-paparazzi lasers, but for pure engineering audacity to create the longest and one of the fastest yachts on the planet. But even this rocket on the water is still a motor yacht. There is another project that decided, why not combine the future, sails, high-tech, and a controversial design the whole world will discuss. Sailing Yacht A, a $500 million sailing spaceship. Sailing Yacht A is a yacht people either hate or love, but it leaves almost nobody indifferent. From shore, it does not look like a boat. It looks like a science fiction ship that accidentally landed in our time. Its length is about 469 feet, with a gross tonnage of more than 12,500 gross tons. 3 giant masts, each roughly 328 feet tall, higher than many city skyscrapers and even the famous Big Ben clock tower in London. Inside, around 20 guests, placed in extremely spacious cabins and suites, along with about 50+ crew members. But the main thing here is not the number of people, it is the concept. This is not a hotel on water, but an experimental flagship. The power system is hybrid, diesel-electric combined with massive sails. Maximum speed is up to 21 knots, while part of the journey can be completed using wind power, reducing fuel consumption and showing what green luxury can look like in the real world. The feature that takes every viewer's breath away is the underwater observation pod. Imagine sitting in a room where the walls are thick glass, and instead of watching a movie, you are watching the real ocean outside. Fish, light, depth, the sound of water, none of it is on a screen. It is right beneath you. The glass is about 12 inches thick to withstand the pressure. On board, there is a helipad, a swimming pool with a movable roof, and dozens of hidden doors and hatches used to load boats, equipment, and toys. In total, there are more than 24 of these doors. The interior and exterior design by Philippe Starck is pure futurism. Almost no traditional straight lines, everything looking as if it was carved from scratch for a movie about future elites. This toy reportedly cost around $500 to $600 million. And like another yacht symbol of its era, it also ended up at the center of sanctions and seizures. But for the viewer, honestly, that is already a detail. The main fact is this: someone paid $500 million for a sailing spaceship just to occasionally take it out to sea. However, not every billionaire needs experiments. For some, a yacht is first and foremost the perfect 5-star resort, where everything is familiar, predictable, and insanely expensive. A Plus, formerly Topaz, a royal resort on 482 feet. A Plus, formerly known as Topaz, is a textbook example of classic royal yachting luxury. It does not scream futurism. It does not try to be the longest or the strangest. It simply does everything properly, but on a level that ordinary luxury hotels cannot even dream of. Its length is about 482 feet, with a steel hull, an aluminum superstructure, a beam of more than 69 feet, and a gross tonnage of over 12,500 gross tons. This is a true multi-story house on the water with warm teak decks. The propulsion system consists of 2 powerful diesel engines with a cruising speed of around 19 to 20 knots and a maximum speed of about 23 knots. Its range is up to 5,750 miles, allowing it to cross oceans without problems. On board, up to 62 guests in 26 cabins and about 79 crew members. That is almost 1 staff member for every 2 guests. This is the level of service where your glass is refilled before you even notice it is empty. The interior was designed by Terence Disdale, one of the most famous superyacht designers. Inside, premium level classics. Large lounges, marble, expensive woods, soft lighting, enormous windows, plenty of air and space. No acidic accents, no make everything gold. This is luxury designed not for Instagram, but for the personal comfort of the owner and guests. In terms of toys, A+ has the full package. A large swimming pool, a dance floor, a full movie theater, a spa, a beauty salon, a gym, a deck jacuzzi, and a beach club with glass doors and illuminated water under the stern. Of course, there is satellite communication, Wi-Fi, climate control throughout the yacht, and accessibility features for people with limited mobility. The project's estimated cost is around $500 million, with annual maintenance running into tens of millions. This is the kind of yacht where it is easy to imagine a private party. In one lounge, people are discussing buying a soccer club, while in another, children are watching cartoons in a separate cinema. But while some billionaires invest in classic luxury, others spend $500 million building eco-sailing yachts meant to show the world that wealth can now also be green. Koru, $500 million for Jeff Bezos' eco-sailing yacht. Koru is the personal sailing mega yacht of Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, and it is an incredible mix of old maritime romance and modern money. Money so enormous that, for this yacht, there was even a plan to dismantle a historic bridge. Its length is about 417 feet, with 3 massive masts and the classic lines of a sailing vessel, but at a size that used to belong only to cruise ships. The hull is dark blue, the silhouette long and elegant like a super yacht from old movies, only enlarged by 1.5 times. Koru was designed by Dutch masters, and construction took several years. During the process, a scandal erupted. In order for the yacht to pass under the famous bridge in Rotterdam, the bridge was going to be temporarily taken apart. The story caused such a storm of emotion that another solution was eventually found. The masts were installed later along the route. But the very fact says a lot about the scale. When your private yacht makes people discuss dismantling historic landmarks, that is another level of wealth. On board, around 18 guests and about 36 to 40 crew members. This is a more intimate format compared to giant motor yachts. The focus is on the feeling of a private sailing journey, not a floating hotel. The power system is hybrid, sails plus MTU engines, allowing speeds of up to 20 knots. The main idea is to use wind as much as possible, reducing fuel consumption and demonstrating that the super rich can afford not only to burn tons of diesel, but also to show an example of a more responsible approach. On board, there is a swimming pool, several deck levels for relaxation, huge open spaces where you can dine outdoors, watch sunsets, and observe the giant sail system at work. The interiors are kept secret, but they are known to follow a style of modern restrained luxury. Lots of wood, light tones, and natural materials. Koru costs at least $500 million, and according to some estimates, even more. Annual maintenance is around $20 to $30 million, but that is not all. Koru has its own support vessel, about 246 feet long, carrying a helicopter, additional toys, equipment, and part of the crew. So $500 million is only for the main sailing yacht. In reality, the entire setup costs noticeably more. But if Koru is about the green luxury of one of the richest people in the world, there is another yacht that became the symbol of an entire city and era. And its name is as direct as possible: Dubai. Dubai, the Sheikh's flagship palace on water. The yacht Dubai is not just a private vessel, it is a floating symbol of the emirate that positions itself as the capital of luxury. Its length is about 531 feet, and for several years Dubai held the title of the world's largest yacht until Eclipse and Azzam surpassed it. A steel hull, an aluminum superstructure, 8 decks, and a gross tonnage of more than 13,000 gross tons. Its construction history could be a documentary on its own. The project began back in the 1990s under different names for the royal family of Brunei. Then, construction stopped due to contract problems, and the hull remained unfinished. Only later was it purchased and completed for the ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. The hull was delivered to the Persian Gulf on a special vessel, and the yacht was finally finished there. The engines allow a speed of up to 26 knots, and the range is up to 9,780 miles. That means Dubai could travel halfway around the world without refueling, if the owner ever wanted to. Inside, the scale that made this yacht famous. On board, it can theoretically host up to 115 people for daytime events. Standard accommodation is around 48 guests and nearly 88 crew members. This is no longer just a home, it is a floating palace ready for delegations, official dinners, and family celebrations at the same time. The interiors combine modern luxury with Arabic motifs, Carving, mosaics, lots of light, panoramic windows, spacious halls with staircases that look like they belong in an ultra-luxury hotel. There is a helipad, a large swimming pool, a spa, a movie theater, huge salons, and of course, separate private zones accessible only to the ruler's family. The project's cost is estimated at roughly $400 to $500 million at the time of completion, but if something similar were built today, the price tag would be significantly higher. And while Dubai remains a symbol of 2000 luxury, a new wave of yachts shows what an ultra-modern mega yacht of the 2020 looks like. One of them is a mysterious beauty with a telling name: Blue. Blue, a quiet giant of the new generation. Blue is a concentration of everything the superyacht industry has learned over the last few decades. Its length is about 525 feet, its gross tonnage is almost 15,000 gross tons. And it was built in 2022 at the Lursen shipyard. From the outside, strict, clean lines, lots of glass, a smooth hull, and no loud shapes. This is the kind of yacht that looks like it was designed according to one principle: nothing extra, everything only for comfort and efficiency. The hull is steel, the superstructure is aluminum, the beam is about 74 feet, and the draft is about 19 feet. At anchor stabilizers reduce rolling, so even in waves, you can forget you are at sea at all. The propulsion system is diesel-electric. Modern engines provide both speed and efficiency. The range is around 5,750 miles, and the fuel capacity is over 264,000 gallons. On board, about 48 guests in 24 cabins and around 80 crew members. In other words, Blue is designed so the owner can host large groups, business meetings, family vacations, and still maintain privacy, thanks to a smart layout where guest areas, service areas, and family spaces barely intersect. The interiors, like those of A+, were designed by Terence Disdale. This is a modern but warm aesthetic: enormous panoramic windows, light materials, natural wood, and soft fabrics. There is no desire to shock with gold. The goal is to calm and relax. Among the amenities are swimming pools, a spa, gyms, a beach club right by the water, jacuzzis on the upper decks, a movie theater, meeting areas, and game rooms. This is a yacht that can be a home, an office, a retreat, and a quiet family getaway all at once. In essence, Blue is the answer to the question, what does a 2020 superyacht look like if the owner wants maximum technology, comfort, and status, but minimum noise around their name? However, even against the background of all these giants, there is one yacht that stands out because of one insane decision. They put a full concert hall inside it. Al Said, a Royal Philharmonic on the waves. Al Said is a yacht that can turn into a Philharmonic hall at any moment, and that is not a metaphor. Inside, there really is a hall designed for a 50-piece orchestra. Its length is about 509 feet, and it was built by the same masters at Lursen. A steel hull, a steel and aluminum superstructure, teak decks, several levels, and an exterior designed by Espen Oino with a distinctive royal silhouette. Inside, up to 70 guests and about 150 plus crew members. 6 decks contain private apartments, salons, meeting rooms, service areas, and that very concert hall. Imagine walking into a hall inside a yacht. And there is a stage, acoustics designed specifically for live symphonic music, and an orchestra playing for a few dozen guests. This is the level where luxury is no longer only marble and gold, but the ability to hold a private concert without ever leaving the yacht. For a long time, the owner was Sultan Qaboos bin Saeed of Oman. After his death, the yacht passed to his successor, and rumors and theories about a possible sale have circulated, but official details are almost never disclosed. The owner's suite is a separate story, a master cabin almost 164 feet long, a giant walk-in closet, a bathroom with a jacuzzi, and separate lounge rooms. And all of this exists alongside a service machine where several hundred people work to keep this palace on water ready to head out to sea at any moment. The yacht's value is estimated at around $600 million, with annual maintenance in the tens of millions. Al Said is the type of yacht that does not just carry its owner around the world. It represents a country, participates in diplomatic events, and at the same time remains a private residence. And then, against the background of all these palaces, fortresses, and concert halls, a completely different project appears. A yacht where the priority is not champagne and parties, but laboratories, robots, and deep-sea vehicles. Rev Ocean, the most expensive floating tool for saving the ocean. Rev Ocean may be the most unusual project on our list. Nearly 640 feet long, with a cost of around $500 million, and yet its main purpose is not to carry its owner between resorts, but to study and help save the ocean. It was conceived by Norwegian billionaire Kjell Inge Røkke, a man who made his fortune in fishing and the oil industry, and is now investing hundreds of millions to understand how not to destroy the ocean completely. Rev Ocean has officially been handed over to a foundation focused on environmental research. The yacht has 3 operating modes. Research mode, scientists are on board and the laboratories work 24/7. Expedition mode, a combined format with partners, philanthropists, and scientists. Charter mode, the yacht can be rented for enormous sums, reportedly up to several $1 million per week, with profits going to fund scientific projects. In the stern section, there are 9 laboratories equipped for different fields: water chemistry, biology, pollution analysis, microplastics, and climate parameters. There are ROVs, remotely operated underwater vehicles that can descend to depths of up to 19,700 feet and beyond. There are AUVs, autonomous underwater vehicles that collect data on their own, scan the seabed, and make maps. On board, there is also a 3-person submersible capable of diving to around 7,550 feet. That is a level where you can see a world that used to be accessible only to research institutes in the military. Plus, there are winches for sample collection, a moon pool through which equipment can be lowered into the water without leaving the hull, storage for scientific gear, antennas, sensors, sonars, and systems for analyzing everything happening in the water column and on the seabed. And yes, despite all of this, Rev Ocean has full living areas where dozens of people can live and work comfortably: scientists, crew, guests, and partners. It has everything: cabins, lounges, recreation areas, sports facilities, and a galley. But the main thing that separates this vessel from all the previous ones is its ideology. If the other yachts on the list exist for the comfort, status, and pleasure of their owners, Rev Ocean was created first and foremost as a tool. A very expensive, very beautiful, impressive tool meant to help answer the question, what are we doing to the ocean, and can it still be fixed? For some people, this is too much. For others, it is a dream. But one thing is absolutely clear: a world where a yacht can cost as much as the budget of a small country really exists, and we just looked inside it. Write in the comments which yacht you would choose for one day if you were given unlimited access. If you are interested in a life where the cost of a yacht swimming pool can match the price of an apartment in the center of a major city, watch the next episodes on the channel for the richest.